Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this week we have 12 incredible watches for you guys and girls, a real mix of pieces at different price ranges and different brands and everything you can possibly imagine, which, as those of you who have probably watched a few times, are well accustomed to by now here at Kibble Watches. It's what we strive to do every single week, and I feel like every single week so far we are achieving that, and that's thanks to you guys and girls. A lot of you buy and sell to us, you can sign with us, and it just means we're able to offer such a varied selection of watches, and it also helps us stand out from the crowd of watch dealers here in the UK, specifically London, where everyone seems to be dealing in the same sort of stuff. We can sort of stand apart as someone who offers a variety, and that's exactly what we've been able to do, so thank you all very much for that. Before we dive into the watches on the table, I just want to say, as always, there is a timestamp to every single watch we're looking at today down in the description. There's also a link to the website. It will take you there and you'll be able to see the listing, the price, the photos. Unless obviously it's sold, then the price will not be visible, but all the other details you'll still be able to find, including all the photos and everything like that. And also on the website, you will see under points of mention there are additional photos with every watch. This is what we're doing as standard now, as well as, again, the link to this video and the timestamp in the actual listing itself, just to make everything really streamlined and all the information instantly accessible to anyone, anywhere, very, very quickly. So hopefully that helps you all. And also, what is on wrist? I am wearing my Oris Artix GT. This is a very special watch to me. It's one I owned many, many years ago when I first started out in this industry, and I had to sell it to sort of fund a move and an expansion of what I was dreaming of doing, which was becoming a watch dealer. So it got sold at the time where I was dreaming of what I now have. So this watch represents a lot to me because whenever I put it on, it reminds me of dreaming of what I'm living now. So it's a very special piece to me in that regard. I'm sure some of you can probably relate, and I think it's an interesting subject that maybe one day I'll dedicate a video to. Maybe we'll make something quite nice. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, that's enough of the rambling. Let's crack on with what you are here to see, and that is the special watches on the table. So we're going to start with two incredible chronographs. First off, the Amiga Speedmaster reissue. This is a fantastic watch, part of the Trilogy set. Let's take a closer look. What a watch to begin this week's episode with. This is the awesome Amiga Speedmaster 1957 Trilogy as part of a three-piece series they did, I believe, back in 2017. They released three watches, this being one of them, a Seamaster and a Railmaster, all based on the original vintage designs and done as close to proportion really as they could, and overall design and everything. It truly is one of my favourite personally that Amiga have released, limited to 3,557 pieces. This is actually number 737, which for the fact this is a Speedmaster and obviously aviation, 737, it's kind of a cool limited edition number. The reference to this one I won't bore you with, it's quite long, but inside is a manually wound Amiga caliber 1861, and this specific one is from November 2017 with its box and paperwork. It does feature an acrylic crystal on top, obviously, as you just saw, solid case back, a beautiful flat link style bracelet with a glide adjust on the clasp, which is very, very handy. This watch has been worn, it's been enjoyed, but it's not been overly worn. You will see scratches and wear. Something to keep in mind is it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet, so when you're looking at this, do keep in mind some of what you're seeing might just be fingerprints. Maybe you want to come book an appointment, come see it for yourself, and I suspect you're going to fall in love with it, because most people do when they try this one on. You got to think as well, when we get onto dimensions, this is 38.5mm. Now, for most people, that's actually the perfect size. A lot of people think it's 40 or 42 or even 34, and all those sizes can work perfectly well. I enjoy all those sizes, but this, in my opinion, is kind of a sweet point for a lot of people. Also, pairing this on leather straps, it does look fantastic. But let's show this one on wrist and tall dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Really, really comfortable in dimensions. What you're looking at is 38.5mm by 48mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick. Do keep in mind a lot of that is in that domed acrylic crystal. And 19mm on the lug. So a little bit awkward, but there are options out there. So go check out this awesome watch on the website today. Next up, a JLC that they only made for roughly 1 year, and it is incredibly desirable. A lot of people really want this reference, and we've had it in the past. It's sold out very quickly. I suspect we'll see a similar thing with this one. It's the JLC Master Chronograph. Let's take a closer look. Next up, JLC with the Master Chronograph. This is a beautiful sector dial, multiple details on the dial, different finishes which really just make it pop, and all paired together with the highlights of blue, which is translated to this very, very dark blue, almost black leather strap. Again, I won't bore you with the reference to this one, it's quite long, but inside is the automatic JLC caliber 751G, and this one's from October 2019 with its box and papers. A really, really wonderful example, and again, I just can't believe they only made it for 1 year. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, but it's actually made it very desirable. A lot of people really want it, and the prices have definitely gone up over the years as well, and I don't see why that would change, because again, they're just not making this watch anymore. So yeah, not an awful lot to say more about this other than you are getting yourself into a JLC, but not just any JLC, part of the Master Control series, which are tested for over 1,000 hours, and they have the seal of approval basically from JLC. And it really is one of those watches that just, it looks perfect on the wrist, off the wrist, in photos, whatever it may be. It is very photogenic. Also, interestingly, no running seconds. To some people that's sort of puts them off, but for others it really draws you in. To me, I don't really mind, you know, having a second hand or not, it doesn't really bother me too much. If anything, not having a second hand feels like time slows down. I know it's a very strange thing to say, but that's the illusion it gives to me personally. Obviously, you can run the chronograph, and then you'll have a running chronograph second, as you'd expect. But yes, let's try this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, comfortably paired on my 7-inch wrist. The dimensions of this one are just perfect as well, and I think that's really helped with the desirability and attention this watch has received over the years. So 40mm by 48mm lug to lug, 12mm thick, and 21mm on the lugs. Yes, again, a little bit awkward, but to be honest, the pairing it comes on, I think suits it perfectly, and it gives it that really dressy vibe, but at the same time, you could totally wear this with t-shirt and jeans. So go check this one out on the website today. From there, we have another Gerard Perego Lauriato in 42mm, and again blue, and again we are the best priced by quite a mile, so I don't think this one will stick around long. It's worn, it's been used, but that's good because it means you can put it on and enjoy it yourself. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, the Gerard Perego Lauriato in 42mm and blue, the most desirable of the colour ranges for most people. Now granted, the other colour ranges are fantastic, and I do know many of you are actually after those, but the blue seems to have been the one that really took off, and it's no surprise really because blue is the most popular colour range in most watches when they release it. And obviously this one being no exception. I won't bore you with the reference to this one, it's quite a long reference, but inside is the automatic Gerard Perego caliber GP11800, a beautifully finished and decorated movement, as you can see right there. Very simple, very elegant, and just really done to a fine standard. This one is from October 2018. It comes with its box and paperwork, and it is in worn condition. So there are scratches in the polished areas and the brushed areas, and some scratches along the bezel as well. So do keep that in mind. But to be honest, we are priced so far under almost everyone that it really makes it hard not to justify it, because you could buy this, get it fully serviced and polished with Gerard Perego, and still be cheaper than the other offerings out there for the most part, which is quite amazing really. So one to definitely consider. You've got a screw down crown, you've got a date, you've got that integrated bracelet design and look, but without the sort of crazy price tag. Now yes, obviously there are options like the Tissot PRX and other fantastic more affordable options, most notably, most recently I should say, with Christopher Ward and the 12. I think that's going to be an interesting one. But when you start getting to the brands that really do crazy stuff, Audemars Piguet, Patek, all these kind of guys, even IWC with the new Engineer as well, this feels very well priced at what we've priced it at anyway. I can't say the RRP is particularly attractive, but at this price it makes complete sense. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. It looks really good. Some people are put off by the 42mm, but I'm telling you, integrated bracelets wear surprisingly well. Even the smaller sizes, they wear very, very nicely. So I wouldn't rule it out before trying it on. So 42mm by 49mm lug to lug, 11mm thick, and 15mm at the lugs, which is this point, which obviously flares out to a much larger number. But go check this one out on the website today. From there to another fantastic Grand Seiko. This is nicknamed the Orbit, and it's the 55th anniversary 44GS limited edition. Really awesome watch with a very striking dial, as we come to expect with Grand Seiko. So let's take a closer look. Next up we have the Grand Seiko Orbit. The reference is SLGA013G and this is limited to 500 pieces total. That dial is absolutely fantastic. It looks like a piece of beautiful wood that's been sort of stained black. It really is mesmerizing, and I think Grand Seiko, everyone has come to expect this kind of level of detail to dials and the overall finishing to be up to this kind of standard. So it's always nice when you get one that actually still surprises you when you take a closer look. Looping this is absolutely incredible. So as you can see stated down there at the bottom, it says spring drive 5 days. As we flip it over, you're going to see a really well decorated Grand Seiko spring drive caliber 9RA2, and that is a 5-day movement. You can actually see the power reserve indicator on the back. That is a handy little feature I wish a lot more watches had, to be honest. And again, the finishing is just done to a very, very nice standard. And just beautifully done. The rotor, you know, hollowed out to the extreme to reveal more of the finishing under that, I think is really, really cool. It comes paired on its bracelet, as you can see, Grand Seiko signed, which is always nice. And this one's from July 2022 with its box and paperwork. It has been worn, there are scratches, but overall it's very good condition. And often, you know, we have to remember these are pre-owned watches. They will have scratches, they will have wear, and that's almost the case unless it's brand new, and obviously will state as such when it is. Screw down crown, which again is always nice, especially on these Grand Seikos, because not all of them do. It's not the end of the world, but I think with a sportier design like this, having that screw down crown is that extra reassurance that just feels nice. Even if it really isn't required, it just feels nice. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, comfortably paired on my 7-inch wrist. This reference and this case dimensions are perfect on the wrist, at least for me and my wrist size. So what you're looking at is 40mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 12mm thick and 19mm on the lugs, typical Grand Seiko fashion. A little bit awkward on the lug length, but there are options out there, and you've got push holes in the case, or drilled lug holes, to make strap changing nice and easy. So go check out this one on the website today. Now let's go on to what I have said many times is my favorite Grand Seiko, and I still believe that to this day. This is the Grand Seiko Elegance GMT, a really fantastic watch that I think just looks really, really great and offers a ton of value for your money, in my opinion. So let's take a closer look. And next up, as I've said many times, a definite favorite from me with the Grand Seiko Automatic GMT, Elegance GMT, as the reference is SBGM221G. And this one is from June 2021 with its box and paperwork. And as we flip it over, inside is the automatic Grand Seiko 9S66. Again, beautifully decorated and just done to a very nice standard. Paired on its original strap with the sticker still on the buckle. It hasn't really been worn on this strap. So you're still getting yourself a nice new strap to wear it on. Drilled lug holes in the case, which obviously makes strap changing really nice and easy, and the case is all polished, beautifully curved, in my opinion anyway, beautifully curved, with these lugs that are very reminiscent of 50s Amiga Seamasters, and I think that's probably why I'm so drawn to this design overall. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's classic, and at the end of the day, with the name of Elegance GMT, you would hope so, wouldn't you? The GMT hand is in vibrant blue, which just really pops and plays with the light, and again adds a nice contrast to what otherwise would be an incredibly simple dial. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Date over at 3 o'clock as well. So yeah, really beautiful example. Let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, in my opinion, again, the dimensions of this one are just perfect. 39.5mm by 46.5mm lug to lug, 14mm thick, which might sound on the thicker side, but again, that curved case really sort of hides that thickness in my opinion, and 19mm on the lugs. So there are options out there. Grand Seiko offers some fantastic strap options, so maybe consider those, but go check it out on the website today. From there to a Rolex Oyster Perpetual date, the reference 15200 in white. I interestingly also have this exact configuration in blue, so we have the white and the blue with the Arabic, so maybe his and hers match, both 34mm. I think that's pretty cool, but let's take a closer look at this one. As someone who wears and enjoys a Rolex 6694, which is a vintage Oyster Precision, manually wound 34mm, I am a big advocate of smaller case Rolexes, so whenever I get the opportunity to buy some nice ones, I jump at that opportunity. opportunity, and this is exactly one of those. What you're looking at is the Oyster Perpetual date. For those of you that don't know, Oyster Perpetual refers to it being Oyster case and automatic, and Oyster Precision refers to it being an Oyster case and manually wound. So just a little hint for you there, or at least a little trick to know what something is a bit quicker. Obviously, date on the dial refers to the fact it has a date. What you're looking at is a beautiful white dial with Arabic numerals and loomed indices, sort of in the odds and in the evens, obviously the Arabic, apart from the Rolex Coronet at 12. The reference to this one is the 15200 or the 15200, and it's a Y serial which dates it to circa 2002. It comes on its original bracelet, which will fit up to a 7-inch wrist, and inside the automatic caliber 3135 used by Rolex, used across the board in many of their models. The bracelet will fit up to a 7-inch wrist, as I said. We can source more links if required, and again we can have the watch fully polished, looking as good as new again, or as close to new as they possibly can without taking off too much metal. So do keep that in mind. That is something we can do if you're not a fan of having some scratches and some wear, which personally I like. I like how it looks, and I think it contrasts nicely with the beautifully clean dial. I think having a slightly worn watch just adds to a more rugged look. But that's just me. So if you want it looking brand new again, we can certainly get that done for you. But let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. Here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Now, as a wearer of 34mm, and I wear it regularly, to me this feels really great on the wrist, and to some people it's probably going to be too small, but this is one to come try on and see for yourself. I actually think a lot of people are converting over to smaller cases because they're realizing, one, it's actually very wearable, and two, they're a lot more affordable and a lot more accessible. So this is 34mm by 42.5mm lug to lug, only 11.5mm thick and 19mm on the lugs. So again, options out there, although on a bracelet it's always a classic. So go check it out on the website today. From there over to the Amiga Seamaster mid-size automatic in 36mm, a very, very cool watch. This one has box and paperwork as well. Box and booklet, sorry, not paperwork, but a great looking watch. And again, value for money when you consider how much watch you're getting. I think these are really hard to pass on. So let's take a closer look at this one. Amiga Seamaster mid-size automatic, this time with the beautiful wave dial. This is the reference that Pierce Brosnan wore in James Bond, apart from he wore the quartz version and not the automatic like this one. And I believe it's Prince William. I always get my royals mixed up, but I think it's Prince William also enjoys and wears one of these. And whichever one it is, I believe it is Prince William. The customer who originally owned this actually wore this when he met him, and he was also wearing his, which was kind of cool. A little cool backstory there. So the reference to this one is 2551.80.00. Beaten away inside is the automatic Amiga caliber 1109, and this model's from circa 2002 to 2003, and it comes with its box and booklet. It's in worn condition, some marks here and there to be expected, but overall pretty good. And again, like all the watches we've discussed and we will discuss, we can get them polished for you, so we can have the brushing put more distinctly and the polish put more back in as well. So let us know if you would like that done. It does come at an additional cost and obviously an additional time frame to delivery. You have a screw down crown at 3 o'clock and a screw down helium escape valve at 10 o'clock. This is to allow helium out when saturation diving, but in general, just keep it closed. Unless obviously you are doing saturation diving, which I wouldn't recommend with a watch of this age personally. That's just my personal recommendation. Warranty wouldn't be covered under those circumstances, and whilst you can have a watch completely, you know, overhauled, new gaskets, pressure tested, that is at that exact moment. That's not at the moment you're going diving. You just don't know what could happen as a watch gets older. So I'd say don't do it. It's just me personally. So yeah, really great watch. Let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. Again, another smaller watch, this time a diver. Is quite interesting how, even though this is 36mm, to me it wears a bit smaller than the Oyster Perpetual date we just looked at, which is 34mm, because that is mostly dial and this is dial and bezel. It's quite interesting how that works. So what we're looking at here, as we say, is 36mm by 42.5mm lug to lug, only 11mm thick and 18mm on the lug, so you could swap this out for a nice blue strap or something like that, but I think the bracelet suits it nicely. So go check this one out on the website today. From there to the Seiko Alpinist Ginza, the 140th anniversary. We've had these references many times and we'll continue to have them. They're a great watch, and as I've said many times, this dial reminds me of Spider-Man, so it's the blue Spider-Man in my book. So let's take a closer look at this one. So Seiko time with the Ginza. This is definitely up there with one of my favorites in the Prospects lineup. the Ginza, or as I call it, the Blue Spider-Man, because this dial for some reason really reminds me of Spider-Man. It's the sort of watch I think he would totally wear. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So the reference to this one is the SBB259J1, and this was released as a limited edition, although not a numbered limited edition, and the amount they released was never announced. So I'm not too sure how many they made or what that number was. There's a lot of speculation out there as to what that is, but the reality is we just don't know. There is no way of knowing. Inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 6R35, as you can see, and it comes paired on one of the nicer Seiko bracelets. Now, Seiko are often known for making terrible bracelets. This, however, is definitely up there. One thing to keep in mind is you only have 2 options of micro adjust on the clasp, which means it can be a bit tricky getting the perfect fit for your wrist, so do just keep that in mind. You have a screw down crown, which again is nice and reassuring with the 200 meters of water resistancy. This one is from October 2021, and it comes with its box and paperwork. That's enough of the rambling. Let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. Another well-proportioned watch, in my opinion, that just sits comfortably on the wrist, and I think can suit small wrists, it can suit large wrists, and obviously wrists in between as well. So this one is 38.5mm by 46mm lug to lug, only 12.5mm thick, and again 19mm on the lugs. So again, a little bit awkward, but there are good options out there. Personally, I'll be keeping it on the bracelet myself anyway, so go check it out on the website today. From there over to a Unimatic Model 1, this time the all black with the white dial. This is the U1DWN. We've had this before, not this exact one. They only made 150 of these, and we've had a couple over the years. It's a really great watch. If you're into that all black look, but with the striking white dial contrast, you can't really get much better than this. So let's take a closer look. Unimatic time with a limited edition Unimatic reference U1-DWN, and it is limited to 150 pieces total. This is number 86 for reference. What you see here is an all black case with a all black bezel and a vibrant pop of white on the dial and the lume, and surrounded by black, which really contrasts very powerfully. And in my opinion, this is one of the better looking all black watches. Often I personally struggle with all black watches. I really love the design, but on wrist they just don't feel right to me. This is one of those that I actually really enjoy, and I think it's because of that deep contrast of the white. It just makes it pop a lot nicer than usually all black watches do, for me anyway. Inside is the automatic Seiko caliber NH35A, a reliable Seiko movement used across the board by many brands, including Unimatic for the most part as well. It's from 2018, and it does come with its box and paperwork. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist. These Unimatics are on the bigger side, but again, they wear well considering the design and considering the size, in my opinion. So what you're looking at is 41.5mm by 48mm lug to lug, 13mm thick, and that is excluding the NATO strap, so do keep that in mind, and 22mm on the lugs. So endless options, but again, it's one of those that really does look good on the NATO, in my opinion. So go check this one out on the website today. From there on to an Oris. I'm going to be sad to let go, but it's been replaced with the Artix GT. This is one I had as stock a little while ago, and I ended up just deciding to keep it because I absolutely love it. And I would still keep it if I hadn't got this Oris after finding it for so long. So this one, I'll regret letting go, but it is the Oris Classic World Timer GMT Small Seconds. There is a huge amount of feature in this watch for the price point. It really is fantastic. Let's take a close look at this one. Next up, we have this awesome Oris Automatic 2 time zone GMT small seconds. It's got all the names you can possibly imagine for a GMT in the title. It is a reference 7494. A really great looking watch in my opinion, with this interesting case and design. The bracelet isn't integrated, but it almost looks integrated. The dial is absolutely fantastic, and as you can see, you have a second time zone over there on the dial. So you've got these 2 pushers. Now this pusher progresses the hour hand, and this pusher takes the hour hand back an hour. You do have a quick set date, something to keep in mind because of the way this movement works, which by the way is a automatic Oris caliber 690, basically a modified Solita inside. You do have to make sure you're not in the date change position with the push hands, otherwise you can really mess up the GMT. And when changing the date, what you've got to do is go back and then bring it forward a little bit and catch it at the right point, otherwise it doesn't quite sit in there properly. This is one of those annoying things about the movement, and you kind of got to get it right. As you can see, I just did there, and then it's perfectly fine. Some people, it might seem like that's not correct. Do some research on the movement. You'll see that, unfortunately, because of the way the GMT works, it's just one of those things. Now, obviously, if it progresses round as it normally would, it will change the date automatically anyway, so you haven't got to worry there. And obviously, you can change it by going round, but I wouldn't recommend that because, again, you just put an extra strain on the movement. So that's all that out of the way. This one's from circa 2010s with its box and booklets. It does come with all of its spare links. It is worn, it has been enjoyed, and we can have it fully polished and looking good for you again if you'd like. But personally, I kind of like the wear as we've discussed. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Again, I'm a really big fan of the design of this one, and it's kind of why I wanted to keep it, but I can't have both Orises at the same time. So this one is hitting the block. So here we go, 37mm by 46mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick and 20mm on the lugs. So go check out this one on the website today. And last but by no means least, a really beautiful 1975 Longines Conquest square case on a Longines strap with a Longines buckle. This is really a wonderful, wonderful little vintage watch. So let's take a close look at this one. Now on to the vintage, and we have this beautiful 1975 Longines Conquest in a square case. Beautiful chamfers, original Longines crown, and a simple two-hander. The dial is this sort of very fine-grained, grey, bluey, I don't even know what colour it is, to be honest. It keeps changing. Some lights it's black, some lights it's grey, some lights it's a very light blue, and that's kind of why I fell in love with this one. You do have patina around the outside and some patina on the dial itself, but again, it's all original, a very nice example. Super thin, as you can see, and as we flip it round, you're presented with some numbers and the case back. It is paired on a Longines strap with a Longines buckle, which is quite nice as well. The reference to this one is 1024-2-847, and inside is a manually wound Longines caliber 847.3. And as I say, this one's from circa 1975, a really beautiful vintage example, and priced very, very well in our opinion as well. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimension. And this is where this watch really shines for me. A unique look on the wrist, almost Art Deco in its overall design and feel, at 30mm by 32.5mm lug to lug, only 6.5mm thick, which is incredibly thin, and 18mm on the lug. So endless options if you're not a fan of this pairing. I do think it really works, and again, that dial is just so dynamic. So go check out this one on the website today. And somehow, I don't even know how, I nearly forgot a watch. This is the Vertex M100, arguably one of my favourites on the table, so maybe I forgot it for a reason, I'm trying to keep it. But this is the M100, and this one comes with a ton of extra straps from Vertex as well, as you'll see on the listing. You can't go wrong with these. If you're after a dirty dozen design, but want something modern and reliable, this is your best bet. So let's take a closer look at this one. So Vertex time with the Vertex M100, which has the most striking loom you will probably ever see. Those numerals are raised super high, and they just look absolutely fantastic, and they glow like anything, especially if you give it a charge and go into a dark room. It is super impressive how crazy that is. So the M100 is based on the original Vertex Dirty Dozen. For those of you who don't know, there was a dozen watch brands that made watches in the 1944, 1945 for the British military, hence the name Dirty Dozen, and Vertex was one of them, a brand with true history and heritage brought back by Don, which is fantastic to see. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with this one. This is the manually wound version, which features a manually wound ETA 7001, a movement that has been used for many years across many different brands. And this one's from circa 2018 to 2019 with its box and paperwork and additional straps as well. And you can see it comes paired on its Vertex leather strap with its buckle. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. You can see really well proportioned and bigger than the original would have been, which I believe would have been 35-36mm. And what you're looking at here is 40mm by 49mm lug to lug, only 10mm thick, so incredibly thin, and 20mm on the lug. So endless options beyond the straps it comes with in the box. So go see the photo and you'll see everything it comes with. So there you have it, guys and girls, 12 watches on the table, and we've looked at all 12. We almost forgot one, so I do apologise for that, but we managed to squeeze it in there. So I'm sure there's going to be something for everyone in this drop, so don't forget to head over to the website kibblewatches.co.uk to check these out. But also all the other watches we have on the website. I think there's over 100 watches at any given moment on there, which is just insane to think about. So thank you all very, very much. But be sure to scroll through all those pages, get yourself a tea, coffee after checking these out, and enjoy the rest. So we'll see you all again next week. Take care.